So you want to be conscious of what's happening in your hands as you have the intention to create space between the ears. Remember to keep the lower abdomen drawn in, thigh muscles active and engaging into the foundation. I will run through the 4 options that are available to you, and then we will go through them step by step. So first of all, just have a look and see what we're going to do in this video. So the first option is the most basic. And you come stepping back into plank position, and then you simply bend the knees, bend the elbows, put the chin and the chest on the floor, and then you lengthen through the front of the body to come up into baby cobra. So that's option number 1. Option number 2, coming from plank, you would bend the knees, shift the pelvis forward, and then bend the elbows, bringing the body down, and then repeat. Toes point behind, coming up into baby cobra. Option number 2. Option number 3. Now you're really using your arm strength here. You're going to keep the body in one line and bend the elbows, lowering the body to the floor, and then point the toes, coming up into baby cobra. And then option number 4. When you've got the strength in your arms, you can do the full expression by coming into Chaturanga and then going forward into upward facing dog. So there's the 4 options. We're going to look at option 1, 2 and 3 today. So the first thing that you do when you're going into option 1 is you set your foundation. So you want to make sure that your hands are shoulder width apart, flat on the floor, fingers are spreading and the palms are broad. And the other thing that you need to make sure that is happening when you are applying a foundation here, the hands on the floor, is press down on the index finger base. Because what tends to happen is the index finger base starts to lift away from the floor, and then you're just going to start to get strain in the wrists, and that's going to be transmitted into the shoulders and into the rest of the body. So you want to be conscious of what's happening in your hands as you move through all the floor postures. Yeah. So you place your hands shoulder width apart on the floor, and they stay in that position for all the postures that follow. So it's important to get that position correct. Hands shoulder width apart, index finger is pointing forward, or if that's not comfortable in the shoulders, you can turn the hands slightly outwards so the middle finger is pointing forward, and if it's not comfortable, you can turn the hands out slightly so the index finger is pointing forward. If it's still not comfortable, you can widen the hands a little bit wider than shoulder width apart. But when you place your hands on the floor, imagine that you glue them to the floor and they're not going to move throughout the next few postures. And then the other thing is the feet. You're stepping the feet back into plank. Make sure the feet are in the right position. So the feet will be hip width apart, and in plank position, the toe bases are pressing into the floor. So really make sure you press down through the feet. The legs are active. Yeah, so you need to engage the thigh muscles. Keep the lower abdomen drawn in and keep the shoulders away from the ears. Now, these actions are repeated in all the postures. So this is really, really important, because sometimes when you're going from one posture to another, you might get confused as to what you need to do to find your fullest expression of the posture. But actually, it's always the same. You always need to keep the lower abdomen drawn in. You always need to keep the shoulders away from the ears. You always need to engage the thigh muscles. You always need to ground down through the foundation. So there is a common dynamic that's happening in your asana practice that takes place, doesn't matter what posture you are in. So once you understand that dynamic, and that's these actions that I'm telling you now, you can apply them, doesn't matter what posture you're in. So I should add that, of course, some postures limit how much you can do one action. So, for example, you might be in a posture and your shoulders are, because of the alignment, moving towards your ears, but you still have the intention to create space between the shoulders and the ears within the given alignment of the posture. Okay? So remember to keep shoulders away from the ears. Remember to keep the lower abdomen drawn in, thigh muscles active and engaging into the foundation. So option 1, You step back into plank position. Hands are shoulder width apart. Feet are hip width apart. You can always take a breath here just to clarify the alignment and clarify that you do have those internal actions happening. So shoulders away from the ears, draw the lower abdomen in, engage the thigh muscles, press down into the hands, index finger base, pressing into the floor, press down through the toe bases. And option number one, the basic, simple option, you're going to drop the knees to the floor. Start to press the sit bones up towards the sky as you bend the elbows, elbows pointing back towards the feet, and then chest and chin comes down onto the floor. The hands are still pressing firmly into the floor, and then as you inhale, you start to lengthen through the front of the body. Point the toes behind, press the feet down, and draw the elbows down to the floor. So if I take my shoulders away from the ears, the elbows go down. So again, shoulders away from the ears, lower abdomen drawing in, press the tops of the feet into the floor. Ooh, I've got a cramp in my left leg. Good, so that's option one. Option two is coming from plank position. This time, when you exhale, you drop your knees to the floor and you shift your pelvis forward until the shoulders, the hips, and the knees are in one line. So, same thing, lower abdomen drawing in, shoulders away from the ears. Make sure you have the right alignment, shoulders, pelvis, hips, and knees. Toe bases are still pressing into the floor and the hands are grounding. Good. And then you'd simply start to begin to exhale and lower the body down, keeping the body in one line so you're building strength in the upper arms. Okay, so just repeating that. The pelvis shifts forward. Find one line between the shoulders, the hips, and the knees. Keep the lower abdomen in, shoulders away from the ears, pressing into the hands, and then lower down. And then you would point the toes behind you, pressing the tops of the feet into the floor, and pressing the hands into the floor. Gently, you're lifting up into cobra. So here you're looking between the eyebrows, shoulders away from the ears, lower abdomen in, thigh muscles are active, and pressing the tops of the feet into the floor. You see how it keeps repeating? Those actions are present. It doesn't matter what posture you go into, you repeat the same actions. And then number three, this is the most demanding, where you come into plank position and make sure shoulders, hips, and heels are in one line. So no bums up in the air. Drop the hips down until they're in the line of the shoulders and the heels. Keep the lower abdomen in. Shoulders away from the ears. Press down through the index finger base. Press down through the feet. Thigh muscles engaged. As you engage the thigh muscles, the kneecaps lift and center. This is exactly what you want to happen. Whew, exhausting. So, knees, heels and shoulders in one line, and then just simply bend the elbows, keeping the body in one line as you come down, and then you can drop down your body onto the floor. And then again, you point the toes behind, press the tops of the feet into the floor, engage the thigh muscles, lower abdomen drawing in, shoulders away from the ears. As you come up, elbows are pulling down towards the floor. Lower abdomen drawing in, and then you would push up and back into downward facing dog. So they are your three options.